You are not gonna believe what I made out of mini liquor bottles. It actually lights up. All right, let's jump in. So here's where it all started. I sketched out this idea for a liquor bottle table that would actually glow. It looked great on paper, but let's just say reality had other plans. This was my first time using LED lights in resin, so there was definitely a learning curve, but I had so much fun with this project. So I'm starting out with my level and making sure the surface is level, and I chose my colors. So I'm using these Mateo colors, and I will link everything I can in the description. But I'm mixing up my resin here. And this is resin paste, so I'm just using a popsicle stick and dabbing some into the resin. And I liked both those colors, so I decided just to mix them together and get the best of both worlds. So I'm pouring a base layer of colored resin, and this way I'll be able to put the lights and bottles on top of it. So I'm using my torch to pop any bubbles. And this is the next day. I have my LED lights. This one is it's 16-foot battery LED lights, and I knew it had to go through the mold. So I used a X-Acto knife to cut a line in the mold, knowing that I would fix it afterwards, but I'm just sliding in the LED wire, and I'm using my glue gun to glue it down. And I wanted to do like a spiral design with the wire around the colored resin. But I probably should have measured it. Well, I should have done it first to see exactly where it would lay out. I did this, and then I went back to the outer edge and did one band. But it worked really well. The glue gun works really well at sticking down wire. And I'm taking this Gorilla waterproof sealant, Gorilla Glue, and it's kind of like a silicone caulk, but it dries in 30 minutes, and I used it to seal the mold back up. And I'm using my glue gun to glue down all the bottles. And I don't drink these. I actually have been sober for, it'll be 7 years now at the end of this month. But that does not mean that I don't think mini liquor bottles are adorable. I think they're so cute looking. So I glued them all down, and my plan was to put flowers in the center with some leaves, and I put them down and I didn't really like it. So then I thought maybe I should do a bunch of quartz crystals, and I put those down, and I wasn't sure. And then I've had these for a long time, these glass colored stones, and that looked kind of cool, but I liked the quartz the best. So I put those down, and then I poured my resin. And here's where I made a mistake. I should have glued down the quartz so it all stayed in place. As you can see, the quartz are kind of floating around, so I had to use a popsicle stick and put them back in place, which seemed to work fine. And I had never fully submerged quartz in resin, but I realized that when you do, you can barely see them, and you definitely lose the beauty of quartz. So lesson learned. But this took about 5 solo cups of resin that I poured in there until it was just over the top of the bottles. And I'm just using a torch again to get the bubbles out. And then this is where I came across several problems, but I was getting out some imperfections, and then there was some liquid coming out, and I realized it was coming out of one of the bottles, this green liquid, and I kept scooping it out, but I couldn't stop it. So unfortunately, you see there the liquid coming out, and some of the bottles had bubbles coming up, you can see. And I realized that you should probably seal the bottles before you do this. I'm sure anything you put in resin, you should really seal because it has air in it. So this is the next day, and I tested out the lights. And as you can see, they're working beautifully. I was so excited. I thought it looked so cool under all the colors of liquor and the bottles. So this is the table I plan to put it on top of. I got this at the Dollar Tree. They sold them for $5. I've used probably 4 of them, but I wish I had bought like 30 of them because this beats buying 4 like hairpin legs, which can cost you. But it's easy just to spray paint this table, and I usually do gold, but I'm just sanding down the top because there were a lot of imperfections, and also for some reason the resin didn't dry even. It was really weird, but I gave it a really good sanding and wiped it down, and now I had all these little divots and holes that were bubbles, but now they have a lot of powder from the sanding in them. So I had this little tool and I was scooping out all the white powder, and I'm just doing another coat of the gold spray paint. And here's my Dremel tool. This comes in handy a lot, but I was unsure about how to fix this. I figured I would just sand the edges and kind of sand the whole thing so it wasn't as roughly curved as it was, and I got out all the powder. I had always wondered what happens if you sand the resin with, like, say 200 grit, and then I see online people pour down resin and it looks so clear. I'm like, no way, that can't happen, but apparently it does. So I finally figured that out. So I just wanted to do another layer of clear resin on top because there were so many, it wasn't even, and there were a lot of imperfections that I had fixed. So I had to tape it off with blue painter's tape. If I could go back, I would have used this green resin tape I have that is a lot more stiff. The painter's tape kind of was flimsy in parts. But this is the next day. And the tape was nice and easy to come off. And I'm just sanding the sides. And this is the sad part, so sad. After I sanded the sides, I picked up the table and the battery pack just dropped off because I had sanded the wire off. And this was so tragic. I tried and I researched and I wanted to fix it so bad, but I had to kind of accept the fact that this table was no longer going to light up. But lesson learned, and that's okay. It's still beautiful and I love it, so no problem. But it did light up, and I know it can be done. Of course, just don't be silly like me and sand off the wire. I'm just doing the flood coat right now, and I had sanded off the top edges, and I'm rubbing the resin onto the sides. And I'm letting it drip down. It's so exciting when you do the final flood coat because everything just shines. And so the next day, I knew I had all those drips. I just used this oscillating tool, and it levels things out really good. So it just cuts off all the drips, and then I go over it with the sander. Okay, so now I'm doing the buffing. And first, I have this buffing compound, I guess you could call it, and I put some dabs on top of the table and buff it out. And then I'm gonna use the polishing compound and do the same thing with a finer attachment. And then I wipe it off with a rag. And now I'm getting the table ready. So this works best for me. I have this tape, I forget what it's called, but I swear to God, one of those pieces holds like 40 pounds. It's double-sided tape, and I know putting all this down is definitely gonna keep the table secure on there, better than nails, or screws. So that's what I do, and then I just pop it onto the bottom and put my weight on it, and that works great. So here it is. I am so happy with how this piece turned out. It's honestly even more beautiful than I imagined. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you're not subscribed yet, I would absolutely love to have you here. And if you want to bring a piece of my art into your home, this one and all the other resin creations are available in my Etsy shop, which I've linked in the description. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in next video.